You are beautiful. Like seriously. This is it's powerful. Like this really is something special. And to have the privilege of being with you here tonight is my honor. And to hear, I've just been talking to a few guys, hearing what's going on and seeing the kind of men that you want to be. That's powerful. That's powerful. I mean, that changes marriages, it changes families, it changes communities, it changes companies, it changes countries. It's powerful. So I'm really privileged to be here tonight with you and to see a little bit of what's going on. And I hope I can contribute something to you tonight that can help you on your journey. So, Lawrence, thank you for that kind intro. A little overly effusive, and reminds me that we need to get together. It's been a while since we have connected. I mean, so many things get in the way. So just a little sort of intro. I'm married. My wife and I celebrated our 40th anniversary this year on a trip to Newfoundland. That was yeah, pretty good there, boy. We had a great time. Got sick of the cod, I can tell you that right now. We have two sons, David and Benjamin. They're in their early 30s. They grew up in Kelowna. In fact, I was born in Kelowna, but moved when I was a kid, but we've been here for almost 30 years. As Lawrence said, I had two agencies, a sports marketing agency and a full-service marketing agency. We did for, I don't know how many years, 15 years here. Then I transitioned out and began speaking and writing on leadership, specifically wholehearted leadership, heart-based leadership. And began working with men. In fact, we launched Band of Brothers Canada 20 years ago that was designed to see men come alive in a way that they'd never experienced before in 3-day boot camps, faith-based boot camps at a 5-star facility out in the mountains of Princeton, near to Jesus but far from religion. And it's been a powerful journey to see what's gone on there. In fact, I met a few guys here tonight who've been to our boot camps and are looking forward to coming to our one coming up in April. We'll have 300 men out there who are passionate about becoming better men, discovering what a real masculine journey looks like. So if you want to talk more about that, we can chat, or you can go to bandofbrothers.ca. So working with men has been a passion of mine for many years. And we had two sons. So I'm raising men. Got to understand what that looks like. And I want to tell you a story. I don't know how long it would be, more than 20 years ago, 25 years ago maybe. I was working out. The Grand used to have a fitness club there, and I was working out there, hopped in the hot tub afterwards, and there's 4 young guys in the hot tub. I was, 40 at the time. They were in their 20s. And we've got 2 sons, so I'm thinking, man, I want to understand more about what it means to be a man for my sons and how I grow them to become real men, not pretend men. There's too many pretend men out there, Peter Pans who've never grown up. So here's these guys, they just finished working out, they got the abs and the biceps that I didn't have as a 40-year-old. And I said, hey guys, I got 2 sons. I'm teaching them what it means to be a man. Can I ask you a couple of questions? They said, yeah, sure, man. Sure, go ahead. So I asked them 4 questions. 1, what is a man? 2, how do you become a man? 3, who helps you become a man? And 4, how do you know when you are a man? And they were not expecting those questions. So the first one I said, so what is a man? Oh, yeah, man, strong. Men are strong, men are responsible, tough. That's a man. Okay, all right, got it. How do you become a man? Well, it's not when you have sex, because kids are having sex at 12 nowadays. Well, Anything else? Well, I don't know. Doing tough things, I guess. Okay. Well, who helps you become a man? I said, your dad? No, man, my dad left when I was 2. If you're lucky, you got an uncle or a coach, teacher, somebody, other guys. Okay. How do you know when you're a man? And they're just all quiet. And then the leader said, you never know. Let's go, guys. Let's get a beer. And when I reflected on that interaction, I thought, wow, I wonder if this is the state that many men find themselves in. Don't really know what a man is. Don't really know how I become one. Who's going to help me? And how do I know when I am a man? And I actually found myself in that place many years ago, probably 30. My wife came to me and she said, my heart is dead to you. I hate you. And that was a surprise to me. Because I thought I was a pretty good guy. But unbeknownst to me, I was an unvalidated young man who didn't know he was a man. And so I carried a question mark over myself. Am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? I need to know. Who's going to help me? Oh, my wife. She'll tell me. She'll validate me. And I kept sucking her dry, needing to hear her affirmation, her validation, telling me, yeah, you are a man. Yeah, you have what it takes. But a woman can't validate a man. Your work can't validate you. And me trying to get that from her just sucked her dry. And she said, I can't do this anymore. And at the same time, my mentor came to me and said, Dave, you got a problem, man. You need to deal with this or things are not going to end well. He said, it's all about you. It's like you need to be the sun and everybody else is the solar system. Trying to get what you need, what you want. And he said, you need to go to counseling. And I said, only wimps go to counseling. Dude, I'm strong. I have what it takes. I'm a top performer. Well, I think you got some blind spots. So I began this counseling journey. And I remember sitting across from the counselor, great guy, became a great friend. Legs crossed, arms crossed. I looked at him and he said, I hear I got a problem. I'll give you 3 weeks to fix me. And that's what he did. He just started laughing. That broke the ice a little bit. Truth be told, I was terrified. But you know, guys, when people get around our weakness or insecurity, guys go to 2 places, eh? Pufferfish or chameleon. You know what the pufferfish looks like? I'll give you 3 weeks to fix me. We puff up, try to make ourselves look bigger, tougher, stronger, more intimidating. But really, it's posing. It's a false strength. It's a pretend strength. It's not a real strength. So he could see through that. And we began this journey. And I'll tell you, it changed my life. Changed my marriage. Changed my work. Changed everything. And it's a journey that I'm wondering if this is what you're going to start to go through in these pods. And here's the journey. I'll give you the process. If you want to step out of pretend strength into real strength, true strength, if you want to step out of pretend strength into true strength, it's not about changing behavior. It's not about changing thought. It's about changing belief. What do you believe about you? What do you believe about him? What do you believe about her? What do you believe about him? What do you believe about us? You got to get to the core of your beliefs. And here's the challenge. We were all raised by imperfect parents. None of us had a perfect childhood. And in the midst of all that crap that went around, and when we experienced, let's call it wounding, because in warfare, there's no unwounded warriors. Life is a battle. I'm sure if I had the pleasure or the privilege to sit down with you, have a drink and say, hey, brother, I'd love to hear your story. I know I'm going to hear pain. I'm going to hear some great stuff as well, but I know if you trust me and you open up, I'm going to hear about painful things. Things that were said to you that never should have been said to you. Things that were done to you that never should have been done to you. Things that you should have heard that you never heard. Or things that should have been done for you that were never done. And when we're young and vulnerable, hey, that hurts. Let's call that wounding. Here's the process, guys. Wound happens. In the midst of the wound, false belief gets formed. I'll just call it a lie. It's BS. We then make an agreement with that. And out of the agreement, we make a vow. And out of the vow, the poser's born. The false strength. The false manhood. The pretend strength. I'll give you an example. A simple little example. How profound this can be in our lives. So I'm summer of grade 7, I go to summer camp. And my camp counselor was an athlete in college. He was a football player and a wrestler. And he said to me, hey, you'd be a good wrestler. You should go up for wrestling. Now, I grew up in the 70s, guys, and it was a cool sport back in the 70s. I know that might not be. Don't be laughing at me now. So I thought, well, I'm going to go out for the wrestling team. So go out for the wrestling team. My first tournament was a provincial age group tournament. I got a silver medal. I thought that was pretty good. So I come home, love my dad, good man. Dad, I got the silver. What did he say? Why didn't you get the gold? Now, my dad loves me, cares for me, didn't want to say something that hurt, but the message I got was, silver's not good enough. You got to win. If you want love, if you want respect, if you want to be successful, you have to win. Second place, not good enough. So, wound, something gets said that I didn't want to hear. I wanted to hear, yeah, silver, man, your first tournament. Woo! Awesome. It's a simple, innocuous little thing, right? But here's the power in it. Why didn't you get the gold? The lie is what I just said. You got to win. If you want my respect, my love, you want to be a success, you got to perform. You got to be the top performer. Now I make an agreement with that because what just happened, it makes sense. Okay, that's now a core belief in my life. I have to win if I want to be respected or loved or admired or whatever. So the vow is, from now on, whatever I do, I'm going to win. And if I'm not confident I can win, I'm not even going to play. I'm not even going to try. So stuff that I do just for the fun of it, no way. If I can't win, I'm not doing it. So the false self is born. A guy who's always competing. Life is a competition. And I need to beat you. I need to win. And I've got to pretend strength. It's not a real strength. I'm a poser. I have to be perceived as a winner. So simple little interaction, not ragging on my dad. It's the power of that belief. A simple belief that shapes everything. Everything. And I could tell you dozens of stories like that. In fact, I wrote a book called The Book of Lies. No, it's not called the book. Well, it started in the Book of Lies. It's called The Lies That Bind. And I realized in my counseling journey, what are the lies that I believed? And what's the wounding that's tied to that? And what's the agreement? What's the vow that I made? And how has it changed me? If you want to walk in true strength, real strength, not pretend strength, turn that question mark into an exclamation mark. We got to go here, guys. And yet that's probably one of the most terrifying things we could do, right? Get your sword, attack the dragon to save the beauty. Man, I'll do that 7 days a week. You want me to talk about deep stuff that hurts? I don't think so. But I'll tell you guys, that courage to push through that fear creates huge breakthroughs, freedom, real strength. That's a journey worth taking. That is a journey worth taking. So, I go through this journey for a couple of years with my counselor. I begin to see through a different lens because I see the lies I believed. I'm breaking the power of the lies, replacing it with truth. My question mark starts to get turned into an exclamation mark, and I'm able to actually give real strength, real love, real vulnerability to my wife. Because vulnerability before, whoa. I don't want to be vulnerable. That's how I got hurt. I'm not going there. We were in a marriage retreat, I guess. We're sitting in a circle with 10 couples. And I used to wear a Timex Ironman watch. And I'm looking down at my watch. And I look at it and this is a good watch. Cost me $34. It always tells good times. Got a chronograph, Ironman. And the thought comes to me, that's what I am. I'm an Iron Man. I worshiped at the altar of the strong. And the thought comes into my head, and it's that robs your wife of intimacy because you're unwilling to be vulnerable. And she's starving for real engagement. Whoa, okay. That's a journey worth taking because the ROI on that is huge. So I'd encourage you guys, these pods, don't know exactly where you're going, but even if you're in a small group and sharing openly, it's a journey to move into true strength, to see what do I believe? What's my book of lies that I've agreed to in my life? And you know what? I'll bet I can tell you, because we're not that much different. I'm not good enough. I don't belong. I don't need anyone. Nobody really wants or needs me. I have to perform to be worth something. I go to accomplish, achieve, acquire. I was doing a retreat for a YPO group down in Montana. And in my leadership, the principles of wholehearted leadership, this is part of what we talk about. And these guys had very successful businesses. They probably represented 50% of the GDP of Montana, for all I knew. But we talked about this, and I said, hey, by a show of hands, how many of you guys can relate to any of those? I read off the lies, like I've just said to you, but read off a bunch of them. How many of you can relate to one of them? All these hands go up, and the guy at the back that owned multiple Harley dealerships said, one, all of them. It's part of what the community of men deals with. So how do we kick these in the head? Uncover them, break the agreements, start to believe the truth, and make a choice to live in authenticity, and we grow in real strength, not pretend strength. There were 2 books that I read. I'll wrap this up with something regarding my sons. Wanting to help my sons grow into men, good men. I read 2 books. One was called Wild at Heart. It's a faith-based book about what's really in the hearts of men, the desires that we have for an adventure to live, a battle to fight, and a beauty to love, what that looks like. The other was called Raising a Modern Day Knight. And the premise of the book was this: we don't know how to grow into men in our culture. We've lost that process. Many cultures around the world have a journey that you go through to enter into manhood, to leave the boyhood and enter into the community of young men. And the concept was raising a modern day knight. To become a knight, you become a page, then a squire, then you become a knight. There's a definition. It's called the Code of Chivalry. And there's a ceremony that you go through that invites you to be a knight. And he said, we need to do that with our sons. So I thought, okay, I believe this. I'm going to do this. So we created a definition in our family for what a man is, created a process. There was a year-long vision quest I led my sons through. Can't go into all the details now. And then we had a ceremony at the end. And I'll just brief you on those 2. The definition of manhood that we developed, and you can develop your own definition. It's based on what do we believe, what a true man is, a real man is. And it's an acronym, TRAPSS, traps. The concept was, man, there's so many traps we can fall into as a man and not really step into our full strength, our full potential. So T stands for real men take courage and initiative. The R, real men resist passivity, because guys, this is something we all share. We can default into passivity. When we need to step in and say something that needs to be said, we can go passive. Or any manner of other situations. R, resist passivity. A, accept responsibility. That I'm going to accept this responsibility. I will do what I say I'm going to do. Complete whatever the task is, the project. P, press on toward the goal. Real men are tenacious. They have grit. If you've read Angela Duckworth's book called Grit, it's the passionate, persistent pursuit of a worthy goal. Real men have grit. They press on toward a worthy goal. Know what our worthy why is that we're pressing on to. And then it's 2 S's at the end. For us, the first S is real men serve and love God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength. And the last S, real men serve and love people with all our time, talent, and treasure, whatever that looks like. So that was the definition that we created and we worked toward. We talked about what that looked like. And at the end of our year vision quest, we had a ceremony where I invited all the men in, each son, and went at a different time because they're different ages. So it was when they'd entered into puberty. And there were probably 24 men in the room. And the concept was these men are saying, we invite you to leave boyhood and enter into the community of men as a young man. And we had the TRAPS definition on a certificate that they would sign and say, yes, this is what I believe. This is what I stand for. And the other men all signed it and said, we're with you. We're a community of men, because manhood is not meant to be done alone. It's meant to be done in community. And you've discovered the power of that already. So here's 24 of these men, each talking a little bit about here's what manhood is, and now join us as a young man. And they each got a set of dog tags that had their name on it and the TRAPS acronym and a Bible verse that's really important to us. And then they each got a sword with their name on it. And sorry guys, I'm going to get emotional talking about this. They're in their 30s now. This was 20 years ago. And they'd kneel down, and all these men would gather around them. And we took the sword and just touched them on the shoulders and said, join us as a young man in the community of men. And everybody's crying. They stand up, we gather around, hug, prayed for them. And when my sons got back to school, each time I heard a teacher say, what happened this summer? What went on? So I described it, and they said, well, I need to do that with my son. And I see this here. You're moving in this direction. You're saying, let's join the community of men. Let's talk about what does it mean to be a man? What's our definition of what manhood is? What's the process that we become men? And let me tell you this, it involves fire, because character is forged in the fire. Strength is forged. Those difficulties are actually ushering us into manhood, pressing on through the difficulties. And you've got an opportunity here to be on this journey. Guys, that's powerful. Manhood is a team game. It's not an individual sport. Life is a team game, not an individual sport. And guys, I don't know what kind of woundedness you're carrying, but I do know you are carrying. Because in warfare, there's no unwounded warriors, and life is a battle. And I'm here to say there's hope for your healing. There's hope for your freedom. There's hope for your empowerment and your strengthening. There's hope for you to step into the man that you want to be. And that whisper campaign that says, who do you think you are? You can't do this. That's just bullshit. And that's part of the lies that want to keep us alone, keep us quiet, keep us weak. Say, no, I'm not going to listen to that voice. Remember the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner Hour? Remember that? You'd have an angel on one shoulder and a demon on the other shoulder. I think that's kind of true. In fact, I'll take the kind out. I think that's true. There's a whisper campaign. Who do you think you are? You don't have what it takes. Sit down, shut up. No, I'm not going to believe that. So guys, kudos. Kudos to you. And Pierre, you know what? Way to go, brother. And whoever else you're working with. This is very cool. And thank you for the invitation to be here tonight. And guys, thank you for what you're doing and the journeys that you're on. Well done. Cheer you on. It's worth your best effort. Thank you.